You're watching Deathlocker, and today we're going to be looking at the Friday the 13th franchise. Why? Because there's nothing else going on in the news of horror, so we figured we'd go ahead and kill some time and do something that thousands of other people have already done. Today with me, I've got Mark Bone, the Hackerman, and our resident Friday the 13th Friday the 13th resident expert, Frank. Let's call him Frank M.
Oh, they're going to go to Frank the Tank.
No, because I always fuck up your last name. Frank Marchetta, Frank Mahuna.
No, you're killing it.
Frank Marcella.
Close, you're getting there.
Frank Rooney.
How about a mascara?
You need some mascara. It's not that kind of podcast, sir. Anyways, so one of the things I've noticed with going over YouTube and watching a lot of these rank the franchise shows is it's a lot of people who are jumping into a lot of obscure shit. I want to do something a little bit different. What we're going to do is we're going to go movie by movie by movie, and I'm going to randomly pick one of these mooks here, and I'm going to make them defend their choice. So they're either going to say whether they like the movie, whether they dislike the movie, and then we're going to see if their likes hold up. And at the end of that, we're going to see how many little Scullys does it get. So you guys ready for this?
Absolutely.
I figured since I really didn't come prepared, this would kind of make things a little bit easier. I don't have to carry any of the heavy lifting. I'll just leave it on you guys to do it. So, Friday the 13th part. Well, first of all, you guys all like Friday. I mean, when you like Friday the 13th, but do you love Friday the 13th?
Love it.
Like,
It's the original?
Do you have Friday the 13th tattoos on various parts of your body?
No.
Any of you guys have Friday the 13th represented anywhere part of your body?
No.
So, not true fans already. I see Frank's got at least one Friday the 13th poster back there. Mark's got, what do you got back there? WrestleMania? Wrestling?
Yeah.
Wrestling's
Fun
fake.
fact.
Wrestling's fake. Jason's real.
Yeah. Did you know, Mark Bone, that for all the people who like and subscribe to this podcast, they can go on their playlist, and Deathlocker has a wrestling podcast.
I did not know that.
Do you not subscribe to Deathlocker?
No, I'm on it, but I don't subscribe to it.
You don't subscribe to it? You just
He's like Tom Cruise. He can't watch his own movies.
Can't watch his own movies. I just totally had a brain fart. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm totally unprepared for this.
Should be good.
Yeah, dude, I'm like having Alzheimer moments right now, so forgive me.
I'm ready. Let's go. Part one.
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's talk about the status of the franchise. Friday the 13th is one of those franchises right now that's kind of stuck in limbo.
Well, with this lawsuit, I don't ever foresee where this is going to end, whether they're going to give the rights to Victor Miller or Sean Cunningham. So basically, we're not getting any new content, and anything that was out there was canceled. All we have for now are fan films until that gets settled.
Toys were canceled. There was the Friday the 13th content downloadable for the game, which was canceled. I think one of the most interesting parts of that lawsuit is it has broader ramifications as far as when a writer writes a script, creates a character, when rights revert back to them. Because depending upon how that pans out, that affects Hollywood in general. So it's kind of weird or kind of funny to think that this little low-budget horror movie that was, made in the early 80s when the first one came out?
Yeah.
Could almost change the way that properties are done. When you look at something like Disney or, Warner's and all those big things, they could start losing properties left and right.
Yeah, and for anyone who's interested in what's going on daily in the courts, the actor Larry Zerna, who played Shelley in Part 3, he's actually a lawyer that handles copyright and stuff like that. And on his Twitter page and stuff, he's constantly updating what's going on with the lawsuit and when decisions are made, how that impacts the franchise going forward, and if they're going to be making any more movies or anything like that. So it's worth a follow that just to check out what he has to say.
What we'll do is we'll go ahead and get that link from Frank, and we'll put it in the description of this podcast on YouTube, so anybody can click on it and check it out. I think Blumhouse for a second, weren't they going to try to reboot it, and then weren't they the last people to talk about trying to do a reboot?
I've heard wasn't someone a basketball player was trying to.
LeBron James.
Yeah,
Yes, because
I don't even know how he got his name thrown into the hat, but trying to get things going.
well, his whole family are huge horror fans, as evidenced by the making of Space Jam 2, which I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to entertainment news, but they just had a frame leak from it that had the mask. They're using like Warner Brothers properties. So the mask, Pennywise from It, and Jared Leto's inspired Joker are all going to be in Space Jam 2. Space Jamier, I guess. Would it really be Space Jam 3? Because there was that Space Jam with Brendan Fraser and Jenna Elfman.
I didn't know about that one.
Me
You
neither.
guys all have this look of total befuddlement.
No.
Welcome to Deathlocker Podcast, a podcast that talks about the opposite of what we were originally going to talk about to begin with. Okay, Friday the 13th, Part 1, the original Friday the 13th movie. Frank, you're up, my friend. Good movie, bad movie? Defend your choice.
Spoiler alert. For anyone who hasn't seen the movie yet, Jason is not the killer.
What?
I liked the movie. I thought it was a great beginning. To me, Friday the 13th is one of those franchises that it got better after the first movie. The first one was, I see your face down there already.
We got to stop there. It got better after the first movie.
Yeah, a lot. Hardly any
So-
films do that, where
so
the second
by
movie is
that-
better than the original.
By that logic, this is the worst Friday the 13th movie.
No,
You just said it gets better after this movie, therefore,
up until Part 8.
so this is the third worst Friday the 13th movie?
No, it's not the worst. It's just I think what we've come to love about the franchise is the main character of Jason, and he didn't really play that big of a role in the film. It was a good horror movie, but as far as slasher films go with an iconic killer, it wasn't. And the thing I always wonder about the movie, and I know Steve, you said you saw it in theaters, if when it came out in theaters and people were seeing it for the first time and finding out that Jason's mom was the killer, were you upset to find out that first of all, that it was a woman and that it wasn't really some masked psycho killer, it was just a woman defending the death of her son? So I wonder if people were upset at the outcome of that movie when it was first released. How did you feel when you saw it in the theater?
He's saying you're an old fucking person, so you should remember seeing this movie when it first came out, and you were like in your early 20s.
He said he saw it in the theaters with his grandmother.
Yeah, when I was a kid. My grandmother took me because my mother wouldn't, and I was like the coolest kid in school because what was I like?
Because you went on movie dates with your grandma?
Well, whenever my mother wouldn't take me, Grandma, take me to the movies. I got in trouble for it when I got home. But, I mean, it was, I don't know. You know, I was a kid, and I thought it was like really, I knew there was going to be more than one.
I'm thinking about that opening sex scene and you're sitting there with your grandmother.
So
Yes.
when you went to the movies
You know
as a
what?
kid
See?
with your grandma, you sat there, little Hackerman, and you're like, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of these. This has legs. Grandma, hey Grams, you think this has got legs? Yeah.
Oh, she was pissed off. She was pissed. So, yeah.
Well, did you ask her, Grams, would you rather be pissed off or pissed on?
She didn't know what it was. She didn't know what it was. And she
It
was,
was
you
this
know,
called Friday the 13th, and she's like, this looks like a good wholesome movie.
yeah, she didn't know. She was like
Maybe it's
80
about
years old at the time.
Maybe it's about when the Pope got rid of all those pesky Knights Templars.
I mean, it freaked me out, but I loved it. Now, I wasn't upset. I mean, you know, to tell you the truth, when I first saw it, I didn't really know that Jason was I was so young. I didn't know that Jason was going to, you know, turn into be the killer. So when I saw it,
Neither did they.
it really bugged me.
So
But no, I loved it. I
when
loved
you
the
say
first
young,
one.
what age were you?
When did it come out? 80.
80. I thought it was 80, right?
You're gonna make me look at my fucking notes.
I was 9.
You were not.
Yeah. You're older than me. Wow.
Oh yeah, I'm 49 years old.
Wow. So there's
I'm
any
the young-
lady, there's
I'm
any
the-
ladies out there looking for a
Hollywood Squares.
49-year-old guy who likes to go on dates with his grandma,
Huh? This shit's
can-
gone
just-
now.
just PM me, DM me, and I'll go ahead and get you the Hackerman's phone number.
So the tagline for the movie was, they were warned, they are doomed, and on Friday the 13th, nothing will save them. And your grandmother just said, okay, let's go see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, she didn't even see the commercial. She's the one that waited online at Kmart with me for 6 hours to meet Darth Vader. So if I figured my mother wouldn't do it, I always asked my grandmother.
And by Darth Vader, you mean Fred the garden guy in a suit.
Dude, it was a good one though. It was a good Darth Vader costume. I was shocked. I was shocked. She was pissed that we had to sit there for 6 hours at the Kmart. I didn't think there'd be that many people there, but she stayed there with me. That's why I always ask Grandma. Grandma, take me here. Grandma, do this. Grandma, do that. She always did it. Always did it.
So you're saying that all of that's your grandma's fault?
Say what? I missed it.
All of this, all of the Hackerman is your grandma's fault?
Most of it. A lot of it.
Cheers to your grandma.
I loved the first one. Loved it.
Okay. So where did you land on it? You said you liked it there, Frank, but it wasn't as good as, so.
No, I did say, I mean, when you see that movie, that was the first movie I seen. And I remember when I was a kid, a bunch of people in the neighborhood rented a couple of videotapes. They watched it. They talked about how scary it was. So I went, and I think I rented 1, 2, and 3. I think all 3 movies were out when I discovered Friday the 13th. So I had watched all 3 of them. And after seeing all 3, that was my least favorite of the 3. But I still loved the movie. I still love the movie, which was a blatant ripoff of all the other slasher movies that were going on at the time. But I like the movie. I like the movie a lot.
I'm with you. I mean, I rewatched it today, and I hadn't watched it probably for a couple of years, and it goes at a pretty good pace. I mean, you really don't get any development of the characters, but it's done in a pretty good way. It goes at a pretty good pace. You think it's a guy who's the killer. They did a really good job with the physicality of the killings and stuff to where you think it's a guy. In my mind, that falls apart a little bit at the end because that last little bit of wrestling, you know, if she would have been strong enough to do all the stuff that she did before, she should have been able to, you know, knock that chick out pretty quick. But suspension of disbelief, you know, movie logic, it was pretty solid. I don't know if little things like that one dude who was wearing the flannel, can't tell you names of half the characters in these movies. They're all the same. But he was wearing a red poncho. I don't know if that was a kind of setup that, you know, he was the killer, so the red poncho represented like the red herring. Because he was gone a lot of the times, and he wore the plaid, and you saw that the killer was wearing the plaid and all that.
The crazy dude, the guy at the beginning that killed the snake. You talking about him?
I don't know, dude. He made it to almost the end. Like I said, a lot of the victims in the movies are just cookie cutter. Bob, Mark, Jim, Janie, Jesse. They're all the fucking same.
The one who killed the snake was Harry Crosby, right? That was Bing Crosby's son.
Yeah, I thought at first he was the killer because after he killed that snake, he looked a little crazy.
Well, that's what they do. They throw those little things out. They show you someone wielding the machete, and like, all right, so you're all over the place. You had no idea who it was.
Yeah, like the main camp guy disappearing for most of the movie after his creepy little, hey, give me a week, wink, wink, and I'll make things better. Now let me just touch your face like I'm gonna fucking rape you.
And hitting on Alice the whole time.
Yeah. And I felt bad for the poor girl in the very beginning, man. She's just hiking. She tries to get over there, and then she gets a creepy truck driver who just grabs her ass and pushes her in there. You know, she's
yeah.
I mean,
that
she's
was like in West Milford or something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think it was.
She's molested, and then she's like killed like that. You know, old Pamela is just driving like a crazy person for no reason. It's just like, you missed it, ha ha ha. Why? But I think of all the Friday the 13th, the first one's the one that's the most realistic. That's what I like about it. It's the one that if I could realistically see something like that happening, you know, some of it was a little odd, you know, when the lady's running away and the people's bodies are just falling at her strategically.
And that's a Friday the 13th thing, right? That's a tool that they use in all the movies.
For the most of the movie, that realistically could happen. It all took place in the course of less than 12 hours.
Yeah.
So all one night, choppy. It wasn't drawn out over a couple of days, so you didn't have to worry about people making too many bad decisions. And there weren't a bunch of bad decisions in the movie. But I would disagree with you, Frank, that it's not one of the best ones. I would say that it's one of the top tier of them. So I challenge you, and I disagree with you on that. What about you, Marcus?
I love the movie though. So
What about you, Marcus? You've been sitting over there all quiet.
No, I mean, I love the movie. The problem with the first one for me is that I'm younger than all you guys. And so I saw them completely out of order. And I didn't first get into the franchise until part 5, which is the first one I saw. So, at that point, Jason was Jason and the kills were dramatic and amazing. And so going backwards and watching it after it was already kind of at that point in 5, it was a little bit like slower developing for me. I don't think at the time I appreciated those type movies as I was, kind of getting into the horror movies in the mid 80s. So I kind of with Frank, I think it's a great film. It's easily like watchable over and over again. But it's not my favorite, but it's definitely, it's awesome. It's a great movie. It's just that I saw them out of order. So I have like a particular love for the ones that I saw, started with 5 and then 3, 4, and 5. And those are really like the ones that were in my wheelhouse at that point where I was.
I can see that. So you've got more of an affinity for the traditional Jason character more so than the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, because I watched the first 2 or 3 movies that I watched. I didn't really even know the full backstory other than like the continued storytelling, like towards the beginning, or the campfire and kind of the anecdotal stuff coming in, like from people going back to the camps and stuff. So by the time I watched the first one and then the second one and kind of went back and rewatched them in order, I loved it. It was a good movie, but I just had already had my heart set on, how awesome Jason was as a slasher killer.
So if we're going to get a little bit knick-knacky on the first Friday the 13th, I think one of the biggest holes that has to be brought up is, was Jason still alive during this movie?
yeah, you see him at the end.
Okay, you see him at the end. That brings us to the timeline. The timeline is Jason was born in 1946, which was established in the comics.
Right.
And he was killed in 1957, which was we saw that in the movie as a year after the first. So that would put him at 11. So in 1979, when this movie takes place, Jason would be 33 years old.
Yeah. When which movie takes place? The first one?
The first one, Jason would be 33 years old.
So I think admittedly, they never had an idea that after the first movie was done, it was a one and done movie. When they came up with the idea to do a second one, it was Steve Miner's idea to even make Jason the killer. So they never had planned Jason to be the killer after the first movie was even over. So they never thought they were going to have to go back and create a timeline and say when this child was born. And I mean, they went back and fixed things just to make things fit a little better. But like most films, even with Star Wars, sometimes it just doesn't work. And you can't go back and fix something that you already put out, people have seen. Obviously that doesn't work, right? He's not 33 years old when he jumps out of the water.
And to a certain extent, the first one can almost be watched as a standalone movie. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
The second one has a very similar tone, but it kind of ramps things up a little bit. And that's just kind of what I'm getting at. Is this a franchise that, like Halloween and that like Friday the 13th, or any franchise that's had longevity, we should just take continuity and throw it out the door and just go, okay, whatever makes sense in context to this movie, we're just going to go with it.
Absolutely. Like
Okay.
it's, yeah, for sure. I mean, I hate, I'm not saying I hate you, but I hate people who get wrapped up in all of that like detail and math and can't just have fun and watch a movie. I mean, he obviously wasn't 33, the second one, he's supposed to be like 5 years later after everything happened at the, in the first movie, and you just go with it and enjoy it. Quit overanalyzing it.
Yeah, directors have different takes on things. Every director has changed the mask, the style. It's not even the same mask, so that's fine. Really, does anyone care?
So the idea is, especially in horror franchises, because there is a bit of absurdity with any horror franchise. I mean, it's an absurd comic book world, that everybody should just give in to comic book logic. You know, when you have comic books, you got characters that have been around forever, and every artist, every writer, they can bring their own take throughout their own story arcs and kind of tweak things
Right.
around. Yeah, I'm with you. But, you know, like Blake, or like with Mark Bone was saying, is he doesn't like using his middle name. Like Mark Bone was saying, is there are a lot of, I bring it up because there's a lot of fan sites out there that they take this like really serious, and they nitnoid and they really get, you know, into the minutia, if you will, of some of these franchises. It's like, well, this doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense, and because this doesn't make sense, you know, these leaps of logic and continuity, it overshadows that particular installment of the movie. And,
Not for me.
yeah, I was just curious what your guys' thoughts were on that.
So we're supposed to forget about continuity, but there's a being that cannot be killed, and we're supposed to. I mean, if you could believe one, it all goes hand in hand. So to me, that's what we're here for. It's an Avengers movie. We know people have superpowers. They're doing crazy things. It doesn't, you know, I don't need everything to be lifelike. That's for me, at least.
I'm with you. So, Frank, out of 5 Scullys, what do you rate the first Friday the 13th movie? And you can use half Scullys if you want.
3.
Solid 3 out of 5. Awesome. Okay. Marcus Bone, you're up next. Friday the 13th, part 2. Why do you like it? Why don't you like it? And defend it.
Defend it. I mean, what is this like?
Yeah.
Friday the 13th Part 2 is awesome. Change my mind, guy, or whatever. Is that what
Yeah.
I'm supposed to do?
Is it awesome?
The leaves weren't realistic.
What's that?
The leaves weren't realistic in part 2.
Well, I mean, before Mark gets started, you know, I did have a hard thing with Friday the 13th Part 2 because I hadn't watched it in a while. And this is a few years back. There was this artist, I can't remember his name, Perkins or something, and he put out this poster of Friday the 13th, and it was like, I always called it Jason versus the floating sign and floating leaves. And it threw me off because it looked like he was like in the Bahamas or something, because there was all these trees that didn't make any sense. And so I had to go back and rewatch the movie, and I'm like trying to figure out, I get kind of OCD on some weird shit. Like, what the fuck is Steve doing with his teeth? What?
I mean,
But I sometimes I do intend to get stuck in the minutia on things, and that's just one of those things. I saw this poster of Jason sitting there in a tropical paradise, and I was like, what the hell's going on? What the fuck? So
yeah, those New Jersey leaves.
Take it up with the art director.
yeah, I mean, Jason versus the floating leaves. Sorry, man. Get back to it there, Marky Mark.
No, I think, you know, I don't have a particularly like strong opinion on 2. It's a good movie. I enjoyed the kills in the movie. You know, that's the wheelchair guy. You know, that gets like machete across the head. That, you know, that's
such an awesome scene. I call that the Macamee scene.
Why?
Because in Macamee, the little kid, he starts going down the hill in his wheelchair, going
Never
You know,
saw Mac and me.
towards the lake.
Either.
And then this one, and that, I'll let you finish, and I want to get back to Wheelchair Boy after that, because that's one of the logic things that got stuck in my head.
No, I mean, I don't feel like I have to strongly defend 2. It can kind of stand alone on its own without, of course, as the recap from the first one in the beginning. It had more great kills in it than the first one. Like, if that's kind of what you're going after for that type of film. And yeah, I mean, the chicks in it were hot. You know, there was lots of good stuff about 2.
The chicks in it were hot.
Yeah, they were.
So that's actually one of my notes, is that
that's the reason, like,
Friday the 13th 2, one of my notes is Friday the 13th 2 continues the theme of finding the females with the smallest breasts.
That one had a nice set.
In the
Wait till you get to part 5.
Well, in the first movie, like, you see some of these girls in their bikinis, you're kind of like, okay, this just is not fun at all. And then you get to the second movie, and you're like, okay, so like, it's just flat. And I mean, I don't know if that's just like a thing of the times, you know, during that time frame, everybody wanted like flat-chested females.
Short shorts and guys walking around in the shortest of shorts.
Well,
Yeah.
Steve's of the right age, so you remember that. How you would have been prime, what, when this one came out, hitting your puberty.
When did it come out? 80.
81.
I was 11.
11, so
I wasn't wearing shorts like that.
you weren't.
No.
What do you think about 2 there, Hackerman? You've been quiet. I know you've been shoving food in your mouth, but
That's my favorite. That is my favorite one. Just the whole mood of it, the kills, like the wheelchair. That to me, oh my God, that stuck with me so long. That was so awesome.
did your grandma take you to see that one too?
No. The wheelchair kill, him jumping through the window at the end. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be so awesome. So no, that is my favorite one, the second one.
I thought 2 was pretty solid. I liked the beginning with little Georgie, hanging out in the beginning, and then Jason came over.
Don't leave out the obvious. Tater Sack Jason, one of the best renditions of Jason. That was the scariest thing with one eye and what is this guy wearing? This is crazy. That scared the hell out of me as a kid.
Which, I mean, I'm sure that the Hatchet Crowley.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
Victor
it's
Crowley.
obviously heavily influenced by Potato Sack Jason, because if you do a still frame of that, I mean, it's almost, exact. But yeah, the only thing I don't like about the movie is the ending, because the ending makes no fucking sense.
What do you like about the ending? Well, with Amy Steele puts the sweater on. I believe she's Jason's mother.
Then Jason goes through the window at the end to grab her. And then
Oh, that ending, the surprise ending. You're ruining another spoiler.
Well, this whole thing's a fucking spoiler. Yeah, grabs her and then says, "No, you get to live," and walks away.
Well, you thought it was the dog, the little dog. She was going to pet the dog, and he came through the window.
It's just very, very out of character. I've been killing everybody. You just impersonated my mom. You defiled her head. I'm going to jump through a window. I'm going to grab you and then just let you go. Have a nice day. Don't do it again.
There was no let go. What do you mean?
She was in a gurney. She was in a gurney going into the ambulance at the end. Alive.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Now you got me thinking a little bit.
He was half dead. They already had hit him several times. He just jumped through a window.
He jumped through a fucking window and he grabbed her just to let her go.
And where'd the boyfriend
Maybe
go?
she got away.
Exactly. What'd the boyfriend do? Did he just let it happen? You don't see anything about him.
They don't tell you what happened, but I guess.
Yeah,
so
maybe he jumped in
assume.
and helped her out.
Mr. Hackerman over there, this is your favorite movie. That was your favorite part when he jumps through the window.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I thought it was weird that, he disappeared, the boyfriend disappeared, and they wheeled her off, but it left you hanging. What the hell happened? That's why I was like, cool, there's going to be another one. And there was.
And thank God there was.
Anything about what fucking happened?
Say what?
They didn't tell you anything about what fucking happened.
Wait, say that one more time. Frank threw me off. He's walking through the house there.
That didn't tell you anything that happened.
No.
The next thing you see in part 3 is a little news clip of the person going into the fucking ambulance. Yeah. And that's it. So this chick survived Jason.
Yep. And then they went to probably the worst one out of all.
Oh boy.
God.
I left the movie.
Hold on. So Mark, is he about to go poo or something?
Who?
I think so. Yeah.
Who, me?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I know you have a palatial estate.
I'm getting a prop for the next film.
Oh.
That's scary. He's got a prop closet.
Yeah.
So Mark, I agree with you. I really do like 2. I think 2 is, again, right up there with I like 1 and 2 the most, honestly, from an overall perspective. They aren't the most fun of them, but from just a pure storytelling, if you're to do like a rank the franchise, I'm on your team with 2 being really good, except for the ending. The ending and the wheelchair guy makes no sense to me. I think someone in the storyboarding just had this really cool idea. Well, wouldn't it be fun to watch somebody in a wheelchair go downstairs?
Backwards?
Because you're in a fucking camp
With a machete in his
that's
head.
not handicap accessible, but he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, they
Nothing
got him
about
up
that
there
makes
somehow.
sense. And he didn't even get laid either. I mean, they were playing it up. He was going to get some. And what does the poor guy get? A fucking slash to the face and push down a chair.
He's probably
Or
better
push
off.
down the stairs. Yeah. But Friday the 13th, part 3. How many skulls? How many little scullies?
Part 3 we're at? Or 2?
Yeah. We're on part 2. Sorry. I've been going
I give it 3, 3.5,
3.5?
3.5.
3.5. Okay, you know what time it is, Steve? You're up. Friday the 13th, part 3. Tell us about the movie, what you think of it, and be prepared to defend yourself.
I was disappointed.
So were your parents.
Yeah, I know. But I don't know. But when I first started watching it, I'm like, oh my God, no. It was just, I don't know. It was just, to me, it didn't belong. It was so cheaply made. I mean, the 3D.
Okay, so why do you think it was cheaply made? Because at the time, and our master over there, Frank, can correct me if I'm wrong, but if memory serves, Friday the 13th 3 was the first 3D movie to be made with that 3D technology, to where they thought that 3D technology was going to be the next big thing. So theaters were having to retrofit their projection screens to play the movie. So Paramount put some money behind it, and I think Friday the 13th 3 is the one that's made the most money out of all the franchises.
I'll see why. I don't know. To me, I actually left. I left halfway through it. I was like, it ruined it for me. Maybe I should have watched it a little bit, but it was just shitty acting.
Now, did you forget to put your 3D glasses on?
No. I put them on, but it didn't work. It didn't work for me. I was like, I don't know.
You saw it in 3D at home.
No, I saw it in the theater. I thought I was all ready for it.
Yeah, he saw it at home, and it pissed him off so much he just left his fucking house.
Nah. I saw it in the theater. I was like,
took his glasses, ripped them up, threw them at the screen.
I was disappointed. I was just disappointed because it didn't feel right to me, and it was just, I don't know. To me, it was like cheaply made. I don't know. I mean, there was a couple good kills in it, but at the same time, it was just like, I don't know. It didn't work for me. And to me, it started, that's when it started going downhill, when I saw that.
Number 3 is the third one, huh?
Yeah, I was disgusted.
Okay, Frank, what do you think?
Sorry.
I love this movie.
Well, we're disgusted watching you fucking eat, dude.
I love part 3. I love it. It might be it tied for first for me.
It's fun.
Oh my God, let's just say, first of all, Kane Hodder, close your ears for a second. Richard Brooker was the best Jason. I believe he was my favorite look. He was broad-shouldered. I love the mask that he actually gets it in this film. The scene where he gets the film right when he comes out with the harpoon gun and hits the girl right in the eyeball. I liked a lot of the 3D tricks as far as the things coming at you, and a lot of them were hokey. They just did things to make it to make use of the 3D. But the guy who gets split open from the bottom when he's doing he's walking on his hands.
That was cool.
The 3 bikers that come after they, harass Shelley in the store and come back to the barn, and Jason kind of takes care of them.
The bikers, it just, everything escalates to a really fucking comic book level.
And that whole end scene where she, Jason was a guy who had attacked her years earlier, and then she hangs him, and he's sitting there in the doorway. And then, he takes the mask off, so you see his face for the first time, and pulls the thing off him, and then, he gets a machete.
Well, it's really not the first time we see his face, or the first time we see his face in this movie.
Right. Well, the first time you see his face as an adult.
Well, in 2 we saw his face as an adult.
Yeah, but it's kind of covered with hair and stuff.
Different, and a totally different look, right? He had long hair and So these here are the original Friday the 13th 3D glasses. If you saw it in the theaters, these are the ones that they gave out at the theater. So
that's awesome.
I did not see it in the theater originally, but I have seen it in the theater afterwards. I think the 3D is great. It's probably one of the ones that I watched the most out of my box set when I watch it at home, between that and part 6.
Didn't the box set come with the 3D glasses too, though?
Yes, it did.
I don't know if they were the same ones. But
and it's not. It's like the red and green ones. It has a Jason mask on the side of it.
Yeah.
But the 3D isn't as pop out as it is when you see a sword in a theater.
It was a different projection style for a theater than the generic blue and red.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you. I mean, I thought this was the one where I'm going to say jumped the shark, but it jumped into the. I feel like they knew that the kills are what people really liked in the second one, so they just started storyboarding the movie around the kills. Hey, this would be cool. Figure out how to kill people this way, and then we can construct a story around that. Because the plot of the movie really goes to the different kills, different cool ways to kill people.
Right. And
I think
and the fact you got a hockey mask.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah, so you give it a definitive, which I'm sure, the Halloweens and stuff, you had that definitive look. You have something definitive for the franchise. So you gave something definitive for marketing. And it just went up to absurd, which to me, that's, I think maybe what Mark over here was alluding to was the absurdity of the kills and the fun horror aspect of it is kind of, to me, that's where Friday the 13th became Friday the 13th.
Yep, I agree totally.
You got anything else you want to add there, Marky McBone Pants? I'm just going to keep coming up with things until one of them sticks.
That's okay. I mean, 3 was an awesome movie. Like I've had to listen to Steve for years. Shit Can Part 3. I mean, it's fun. Again, I saw everything out of order, but I love the characters, Shelley, the bikers. I mean, it was fun. I really enjoyed Part 3. The hockey mask, seeing that for, the first time in the franchise. I think that's where it really kicked off for me and my love for the Friday 13th.
Okay. So Steve.
Yo.
How many skulls, little scullies, little nerd scullies do you give Friday the 13th Part 3? Have we changed your mind at all?
To me, it didn't fit in with the other. I don't know. I'm picky as shit, and I shouldn't be. But I mean, the cheesy 3D effects. The snake on the wire. I mean, it's just the yo-yo. All right, the eyeball thing was cool. The guy with the stick. I'm like, really? I mean, if it wasn't in 3D. I mean, there was some good parts of it, but I was let down.
You're so disgusted. It's crazy.
I know, it's like
I didn't even give you a number. How much he hates it.
I know. I feel like if there was levels of hell, this would be like probably level 5 or 6 of hell for Steve. He's just got to sit there and watch this movie an endless loop over and over again while being poked at by a snake on a stick.
Yeah, I give it 1 Shelley.
1.
Yeah.
I disagree with you, sir. Friday the 13th, Part 4. No. Mark Boner, back up to you.
Part 4. This is little Tommy, right?
This is the final nightmare.
Corey Feldman.
Final Friday. Corey Feldman and Crispin Glover.
Yes.
Crispin Glover.
Which, if you ever want to watch a really fucking wacky Crispin Glover movie or have a little wacky double feature for Crispin Glover, Simon Says and his remake of The Wizard of Gore. If you
haven't seen either one.
Oh, that's going to be a future. That's going to be a future Deathlocker episode.
Yeah, I mean, 4 was good. I'm surprised that looking back, Corey Feldman was in like everything. So I guess I'm not surprised that he was in it. But I enjoyed 4. I don't know, where you want.
Was 4 before Goonies? Was he just kind of in the beginning of the?
It was before. It was before because in Part 5 they only got him for that beginning sequence because he was shooting Goonies at the same time.
So we're talking like really early Corey Feldman.
Yeah,
before he got touched.
Before Charlie Sheen got to him with a bowl of Crisco.
Yeah, Michael Jackson probably did something to him too.
Oh, dude. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit off thing here, but do you guys watch? This is not the wife swap that I'm talking about that you might think, but you guys ever watch the show Wife Swap? wife swap. I'm stuttering. I think I'm on the wrestling podcast with Piper.
Where there's two couples and they just switch husband and wife for like a weekend. There's no none of that stuff going on.
They did a celebrity one, and Corey Feldman wife swapped, and you really got to see into that whole Corey's Angels and how he treats. Dude's a fucking nutcase.
Yeah, I've met him.
No, I mean, did you see his Good Morning America?
Yes.
Oh, it is.
The one where he did his band thing or whatever the hell that was? Yeah, what the fuck?
I mean, I know you, Steve, you're probably like, that's just brilliant. And you probably have a Corey's Angels double CD on your wall.
No, I don't. No.
That Lost Boys, he's right there with that.
Yeah. And I heard he's not the nicest guy at signatures and conventions and stuff either. It's kind of a dick.
He won't sign an autograph without you putting your name on it. That's for sure.
I heard he does it like really big sometimes just to be prickish.
I don't know about that. But he writes his name on it. He's one of the only names on my poster that has to Frank on it. Other than that, everyone else would just sign it and put a character name.
Oh. Okay. Sorry. They're back to you there, Marcus. You're being all nice and quiet and polite.
Yeah, no, I don't have a whole lot to add on 4. I mean, I thought, again, 4 is great. When we get to like 5 and 6 is where I really like first saw the franchise, kind of going back and watching them out of order. So I didn't have the luxury of watching them 1, 2, 3, 4. I've actually never seen any of these in the theater. I've only ever watched it on home video growing up. So I feel like I've missed out a little bit not seeing any of them in the theater.
I always felt like 4 was where the studio was trying to create a narrative. You know, kind of like on Halloween 4, where at the end, the little girl comes downstairs with the scissors.
Right.
I kind of felt like they were trying to do the same thing with Corey Feldman, shaving his head. You know, it's like he was the new Jason, and he was into masks, and he was all kinds of a little bit cuckoo himself.
And they went on with that story. I mean, in the next movie, Tommy was in the insane asylum, so they kind of went along with that. The next director picked up on that.
Now, do you think that attempting, in retrospect, since it appeared that they really were trying to create some sort of narrative from being the final Friday, it kind of looks like they were trying to have him go on and be like the next killer, picking up the mantle. Do you think that hurt the movie at all? Or do you think it still plays pretty good as a standalone Friday the 13th?
No, it depends how you interpret it. I mean, I think when I saw that movie, I didn't think he was going to be the next killer. I just thought it was like a switch was flipped in his mind and he finally broke, and that was it. I didn't think he was going to be the next killer. I mean, how do you go from Jason to that? And I don't think they're going to end the series after this movie. Why they named it The Final Friday? I don't think they had an idea of doing another one after this. And so Jason's dead and Tommy kind of lost his mind, and that's it. We could just wrap the story up there.
So I don't think that they're really intent. I think in the back of their heads, they were thinking that they were done with the Jason character, but another person would put on the hockey mask, and they would, not have to go with the whole supernatural element that popped in with the subsequent movies. Because this really is the last one where Jason's an actual person.
Right. Jason doesn't become supernatural until part 6.
Yeah.
Right. It was just like Michael Myers. He would get hit and shot, and he would show injuries. Like Jason would limp in part 2 after he was hit, and you could see him injured. But from part 6 on, he was just unstoppable, and he wasn't able to be hurt because he wasn't human anymore.
So, Mark, you're quiet over there. I'm not thinking that part 4 is going to get a very high Scully bone count.
I guess I'm not that vested in it, it's a.
I mean, you don't have memories of your grandma taking you to the movie and all that.
You couldn't figure out over the last 10 minutes of silence that you're still going to keep picking on me to give it Scully's. I mean, it's a good movie. If I have to give it a Scully, I would probably give it a 4.
Wow.
I mean, It's a good movie.
4 out of 5 Scullys. I dig it. And it is, and for me, my grading kind of goes on rewatchability. And it is one that I think you can kind of rewatch over and over again. You know, it's a lot of some of the bigger franchises. I found that the middle entries, while technically and story and stuff, they might not be the best. The overall fun factor and rewatchability factor is a little bit higher.
All right.
And so those are the ones I tend to have a little bit more of an affinity towards. They may not be as well made and yada yada. Try to, you know, some big weird agenda for the movie. The filmmaker was really trying to tell a story of some political thing. They're just fun and stupid. So yeah, I'm with you on this there, Marcus. Macaroni. No, not sticking yet. Okay, we're gonna jump over to Friday the 13th, Part 5.
Oh, what about me, dude? You're not gonna let me shit on this one?
Did you have anything? Well, you've been fucking busy eating and watching your phone.
Done
And
now, but I was waiting my turn.
you have a
Seems like
microphone. You can talk.
I'd like to hear what you have a problem with this movie because it's not in
Yes.
3D. What could be the actual problem
All right,
with this
dude.
film?
Wait. To all of our listeners right now, I want you to turn the volume up as loud as you can because Hackerman's going to tell us his problem.
All right, here we
Friday
go.
the 13th, Part 4, and why it should not get 4 skulls.
Well, I'll give it. All right, I'll give it 2 because to me the acting sucked. It was so corny. Like, would you like to dance? Would you like to dance? Would you like to dance? It's a fucking 5 by 7 room with 10 people in it. Would you like to dance? They're trying to get laid. You know what? Get a couple drinks in her, go fuck her in the woods, and leave her for Jason. That's the way they would have done it in the '80s. Not this lame ass way that I just couldn't stand.
You heard it here first, folks.
When that
Steve
guy got the
Hackerman endorses
corkscrew,
date rape.
when that guy got the corkscrew, I was glad. It was just, but I mean, the story wasn't bad. It was just, I guess it was that little room and everybody was hitting on each other. I'm like, this is so fucking lame.
Dude,
Oh
they
my
were trying
God.
to set up a camp orgy. Why you got to hate on it?
You ain't gonna dance with nobody in a room like that. I was like, oh my God. But I mean, it had its good points. But, you know, I'll give it 3 Scullys. But it was just corny, dude.
So one dance scene ruined the whole movie for you. Nothing else was. I mean, good
Yeah,
kills, good
Try that
story.
hard. They don't need to try that hard. Start drinking first and see what happens. Jesus. And dancing like that. They're all dancing like in a closet. And I'm
Oh,
like,
Crispin Glover had a good dance scene, right?
no.
He's
And
doing
I'm
that
like,
good dance
oh
in
my
there.
God, this is so lame. And that one guy, that guy that was smoking the weed that was watching the movie that was trying so hard, he needed to go. So I'm glad he got whacked. God bless him. Yeah. Oh my God, that movie. Oh, would you like?
I thought they were great. Both those 2 guys together were fantastic. When he gets on his little computer and
The dead
Oh,
fuck.
Well, asking somebody to dance ain't gonna help him out there. Jesus.
Well, it's going to segue us into Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th. Blah, blah, blah. Friday the 13th, Part 5.
The New Beginning.
And that is you, Steve.
That one wasn't bad.
They had a bigger dance floor.
But no, it was just, you know, all right. Halfway through it, you could start feeling that something was weird. And, you know, it wasn't Jason that was doing it. So to me, that one wasn't bad. It kind of left you hanging and it led into a better movie. So I'll give that one 4 Scullys.
It wasn't bad. It left you hanging, but it's better than the
give
last
you
one.
4 out of 5.
Yeah,
4 out
but
of 5, man.
I can't do that corny shit. I mean, it was just
Dude,
like,
fucking 5 is nothing but corny.
yeah, but I was still thinking about, hey, you want to
Dude,
dance? I
The
couldn't get
fucking
up.
movie starts being corny, dude. First of all, this character is supposed to be 17 years old, right?
Yeah, they fucked up.
So they
there.
got like a 45-year-old actor to play him. They just pulled somebody off 90210.
And that's my favorite mask too.
Yeah, that is awesome.
While they're driving the dude and they got him locked up in the back, the other dude's looking at some fucking porn. Right? That's not
Yeah.
corny. That's fucking corny. Right? Then the guy gets out. The only not corny thing that I really loved about that movie is the guy who was chopping away and the fat kid kept saying, hey, I want to be your friend. Hey, I want to be your friend. Fuck you. because that's how life should be. That's how I feel 90% of the time. I'm walking around the earth, and I just wish I had an axe. So when someone just fucking annoys me, I could just fucking start slashing them up. He is my spirit animal. Right?
I like that one.
But rest of it, like, you knew who the killer was because they made such a point of showing these long fucking close-up shots on Roy. It made no sense. He was in the movie way too much for him not to be somebody. And they let Tommy have, he's coming from a mental fucking asylum, but he's making masks. Where the fuck is he getting his latex and all his little mask making gears? And he's got this big ass fucking knife in his pocket. They're just like, here's like fucking 8-inch blade knife I keep in my pocket. And apparently he learned kung fu. Because he's a kung fu fighter. Okay. And Reggie, what the fuck's up with Reggie? What's it? Reggie, they call me danger or some shit?
Reggie the Reckless.
Reggie the Reckless, dude. He escaped from being molested on a different strokes just to fucking fight Jason. Okay? And the grandpa, don't do that, Reggie the Reckless. Yucca, yucca, yucca. Oh, that's just you, Reggie. No, dude, fucking parent. Okay, that movie makes no fucking sense. I like it. It's a fun movie to watch, but to say that, it's a 4 because it's not corny. No, dude, it's one of the fucking corniest movies of the fucking bunch.
I was thinking he was gonna get killed though.
Who, Reggie the Reckless?
Yeah. Well, wait, maybe hoping he would.
His brother got killed while taking a shit after eating lasagna or some shit, like the world's loudest shit. While he's trying to get with this girl on the outside, him and this girl talking, hey baby, I love you. It's fucking corny, dude. It's Michael Jackson's soul brother looking.
Great.
Jesus fuck.
I liked it.
I'm not saying it wasn't bad or wasn't good. To me, it was Halloween 3.
Oh. No.
Halloween 3 is an unwatchable movie.
I love Halloween.
Terrible.
I love Halloween 3.
Hate it.
Like Halloween 3.
Hate it.
Oh, we gotta do Halloween next.
Hold on. Where is your mute the mic button? And there it is. You are muted. So Halloween 3 is the best movie ever. I love Halloween 3. But as far as the franchise goes, it's the one that doesn't really fit. And when I say the Halloween 3 comparison, it's, that movie really doesn't need to be. If you took Friday 5 out, the world wouldn't change. But it's not a fucking 4.
Has the best breasts of any slasher movie in the 80s. Okay. Debbie Sue Voorhees, the best breasts ever, and some good kills.
Yeah.
The director Danny Steinman was an ex-porno director, so there was a lot more like violence and sexual overtones and nudity, and that movie didn't make it. It didn't fit with the other movies. If you want to say like Part 3 did, I think this movie didn't fit with the other movies, especially since the fact that it wasn't Jason, and you don't find that out until the end.
Well, at the beginning of the movie, it's not Jason. It's pretty obvious who the killer is.
To you, I watched it the first time. I didn't.
It is like 40-year-old Shane.
Yeah.
No, dude. Anybody with 2 pairs of eyes is going to be like, "Why are they
I only have
spending
one pair of eyes."
With a set of eyes, 2 eyes, 1 eye, is going to know why are you showing so much time on Roy. It makes no sense at all. He's there. Now, I love the little fat kid getting. I felt bad for him. He just wanted to have some friends, I feel like he was a little Steve hiding candy bars in his pockets.
I'll give it 2 skulls. 2. That's what I would give it.
I think it's a 3. I think it's kind of in the middle. I'd go 3 or 2.5, but I would not. I 1000% disagree with Hackerman that this is a fucking 4.
It was different.
I give it a 3.
A 3.
But growing up, I grew up in this very go to church every Sunday, go to church every Wednesday. This is what you watch on TV, and then going out to the video store. And I don't remember how it happened, but being able to convince someone, probably my mom or actually my dad, to rent these movies. so 5 was the first one that I saw. And there's this scene in 5 with Lana, and she, she's getting ready for her date, and she does a little bit of coke, and she's getting all adjusted, and she says, like, it's showtime, it's showtime. Me and my friends, we rewinded that scene at least 200 times. I mean, all night long, and it's showtime, which to the point to where the next time or the couple times later when we went to the video store to rent that again, you get to that scene and the tracking would kind of get all jacked up, and the tape would get real thin and weird, and we did that. We did that because of Lana. That was awesome.
You rented again?
I like that's his claim to fame. He's like, you know what? I don't care about my family. I don't care about my career. What I care about, my claim to fame, is if you go and get this obscure video at this video store, from this minute to this minute, it's all fucking choppy because we stopped and rewinded. This 30 seconds gave me carpal tunnel for a lifetime.
It was greatness. That was amazing. I had never seen anything like that in my entire life. That time.
Okay, so no one agrees with you, Steve. I'm sorry. I'm going to put you down for a 4. So under your name, there'll be 4 little Scullys. But I just want to let you know that nobody agrees with you. They think you're wrong. They think you're wrong. That you've made horrible life choices.
Do I get part 6? Am I getting part 6?
I am saving you for towards the end ones, unless you want to trade. Blake is next. Do you want to trade? Do we want to do a trade? A live action trade.
Blake did part 4. Blake did part 4.
And plus,
part 5. It's my turn.
I agree with Frank here and what I think he's about to say.
I think all 4 of us are going to agree that part 6 is the best movie of the franchise.
I'm going to give. Hold on. I am going to do a trade right now. Hold on. This has to go through the Nerdlocker headquarters in Las Vegas to be approved.
You're not going to give me part 9 for part 6. That you can keep part 6. Like, did you just do part 4? You just did part 4. You did part 5.
Frank, you now have part 6.
And what am I losing? What am I losing?
Your dignity.
I'll do Jason X. Just don't give me part 9.
You might have to send another trade through the commissioner.
All right, part 6 was the first one that I saw in theaters. I was underage. My cousin snuck me in. We saw it. It's the best movie of the franchise. It starts out with this great scene in the cemetery with Tommy being back and Jason coming back to life again, which everyone was hoping for. And then it just goes through the whole movie with comedy and horror and everything that you love about a Jason movie. Great kills, characters that you actually care about and like. I don't know what else to say. This movie right here, that's the best. It's the best one of the franchise. Tommy McLaughlin, awesome job.
Okay, what do you guys think? Do you agree?
I agree.
I'm going to agree. I don't know if it was the best one, but it was one of the better ones. I loved it. Me and Blake watched it earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, but you acted like you were watching it for the first time. You're like, this is pretty good.
It's been so long. Like I said, after 3, it kind of killed it. I mean, I've seen every one of them maybe once or twice, and that's about it.
You got Court, who gets the Jason knife to the side of the head in the RV. The girl who gets a face pushed through the outside of the RV. You got the guys with the paintball that get beheaded 3 at a time.
Paintball guys, those are great.
Oh man, I was glad he got them. Oh.
I agree. I mean, I think 6 is probably one of the fun. I don't know if it's the best one, but I think it's really close. And I liked it when Jason came back. Obviously, all that time that he was dead, he got some really good special forces training because he was jumping off of trees and he was throwing knives. It was
Just
like
everybody.
It was like Steven Seagal in there. I mean, it was like watching if Jason Statham was to be Jason Voorhees, this is the movie that it would be.
He got restored by lightning like Frankenstein. He did.
He got a cool little bat, like how Batman has his utility belt. He got his little, Jason utility belts. He had all his gadgets and stuff.
That scene where he's laying there and the lightning hits him the first time, and you see his eye open up in there. And C.J. Graham, who played Jason, actually took a mouthful of worms to make it look real as he stood up, as they all started falling off his face and the maggots. Like,
And to think that the whole movie only happens because the therapy that Tommy was getting was so bad that when he saw Jason again, he went into this little manic rage and just had to stab it some more times. If Tommy had actually gotten a good therapist,
None of this would have happened.
think of how many lives would have been saved if there just would have been one good therapist.
If Woody would have went straight to the police, none of this would have happened.
And I mean, what kind of asylum was he in that he was able just to, like, him and his buddy disappear and borrow a truck?
Him and Horseshack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TV's Horseshack.
That was great.
God rest his soul.
Which, if memory serves, wasn't Dudley supposed to be in this one too? But his dad didn't want him to die in the movie, so they had to get some random person.
I didn't know that factoid.
Yeah, Dudley was supposed to be in the beginning as well, but his dad wouldn't let him be in the movie. He was dad blocked.
Dudley calls him.
But yeah, it's a good movie. I like it. I can't argue with you, man. I can only agree.
I'm giving it the full 5.
Giving it a full 5 Scullys.
5 for me also. That's amazing.
You don't count.
I want to count.
You don't count, okay? You can do the next one.
Oh, I don't want to do the next one.
No.
Steve said it wasn't. Steve, you said it wasn't your favorite.
Trade. You did the trade. This was the trade that was approved by the commissioner at Nerdlocker, sir. So you are doing Friday the 13th, Part 7, New Blood. And by New Blood, we're not talking menstrual or anything like that. We're talking New Blood into Jason.
Another good movie.
Terrible. That's why I wore a mask last week, because you say stuff like that. No, I mean, I didn't really.
I like of all the stuff I've said so far, that was the one that he was like.
That's the one that gets me.
That's the one that got him.
I've listened to some of the old Deathlocker podcasts too. They are shameful, and you should wear a mask. No, I mean, 7. I wasn't a huge fan of the telekinesis, girl, and we had like the Weekend at Bernie's doctor. Of course, that was before then. I mean, overall, it was the
doctor who just pushing her in the lake.
Yeah,
you can swim if we've drowned you.
Overall, it was good, but truthfully, like, and you always end up doing this. If you put me on the one that I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times over the course of 20 years. So.
Almost strategic, like we've had conversations.
Yeah, I can tell you want your podcast to be successful.
Hey, at 100 viewers, at 100 subscribers, if you're paying attention to the wrestling podcast, the Piperman's going to shave his little goatee that he has.
It's true.
I don't know. His little hillbilly thing he's got going on. He styles with Waffle House grease. But
oh my God.
But okay, sorry. So 7, you're saying how much you love it.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of middle of the road for me. I'd give it a 3. It's watchable. I just didn't. The whole telekinesis thing didn't really connect with me as much as some of the other films did. So.
Yeah, I think the telekinesis thing was a byproduct of the Poltergeist movies being so popular, and they were just like, let's have a little blonde girl who has powers. So
she's much older than like Carol Ann.
Yeah, but I mean the idea that, and then Carrie and the whole let's have a little Caucasian white girl who can have the audience knows to root for her, and let's give her some little weird telekinetic powers because sure, why not?
Yeah, so I mean it was okay, but if you asked me if I was wanted to watch it right now, I'd watch it, but I wouldn't care too much about it one way or the other.
I'll watch it with you.
Okay, good. Let's watch it later.
It's like watching Turk and JD from Scrubs, little bromance. Which one of y'all is Papa Bear?
Who here watches Scrubs?
Yeah, I know.
Seriously?
What the fuck, dude?
I have never seen Scrubs ever.
Really?
Okay, Hackerman, what do you think of the movie?
I agree with Mark there. I'd give it a 3. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't like one of my favorites. Well, I only got a couple favorites. But yeah, middle of the road. Yeah, like you said, middle of the road. It wasn't bad, but
I can't wait to hear what your favorite is.
I know. I'm just gonna nod my head a lot.
Jason Goes to Hell. That's what he was.
Saturday the
Oh, my
14th. You like?
God. Wait, who's doing Jason Goes to Hell?
Okay, so
It's probably my punishment, I'm sure.
how many Scullys did you say you're
Three.
giving this one? 3?
I give it.
I'd give it 4.
Don't count, Stevie. Don't you understand how this goes by now?
Yeah, it's fucking his turn. Well, by happenstance, because of the trade, you're going back to back, Blake. So Friday the 13th.
Bullshit.
Jason takes Manhattan.
Was I gonna get 8 because I live in New York? Was the 8 supposed to be mine?
Well, I had
No.
questions for Frank about 8. I mean, like, is there really like vats of toxic sludge like sitting on the corner? You know, I've never been to New York, so I don't know.
That was a little.
Tell us about how New York goes. Were those toxic sludges?
That wasn't even New York. That was filmed in
You sure?
Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause,
the only scene was in Times Square. It was actually real.
Because I think if you pause on the video of that movie, one of those barrels you can see COVID on there.
Too soon?
Too soon.
Too
Yeah.
soon. Would you rather go on a cruise with COVID-19 or Jason? Too soon?
Mm.
I'd probably go with Jason because you have a better chance of surviving with the way people act. Okay, so Frank, as our resident Friday the 13th expert
And New Yorker.
and New Yorker, and I'm assuming that you know everything about all geography, how does the lake connect to the ocean?
Via ducts and waterways and
Because that's always befuddled me. Is there's this big ass yacht. Okay, I could see maybe it's a super big lake, so the people have the big ass yacht, the first 2 kills. But then somehow he gets on the big yacht where, like, I guess there's the world's smallest high school that has a graduating class of 12,
yeah.
goes on their trip to Manhattan, leaving Camp Crystal Lake, the Crystal Lake area, or is Crystal Lake renamed? What's it renamed now? It's a Camp or a Forest Green Lake.
Yeah,
instead
Camp
of Crystal
Forest
Lake.
Green.
Yeah, so Forest Green Lake, and somehow gets to the ocean. I did not do well in
Maybe it was a
geography,
help
so I
focus.
need some help. How does that work?
I think we're going to do the same thing that we've done for every other movie before this, and we're going to suspend
No,
some disbelief.
this is more than a suspension of disbelief. This is like up there with the Simpsons, bordering every coast next to every mountain range.
Well, they wanted to put him in New York, and I mean, how could you do that? I don't know. We're going to get him into outer space eventually, so we have to figure this out. How are we going to do this?
Have like an Uber, a Jason. That would have been Jason Road Trip Uber or something like that.
I saw Part 8 in the movies. We were from New York. We were going to go see it. I'm a Jason fan, and I'm from New York. This is exactly what I wanted. I don't care how you do it. Get him there. Worked for me.
Okay.
I have never once thought about the geography of getting him from point A to point B. I have watched that movie a dozen times, and it never crossed my brain of how it's not practical that he made his way to New York.
So now that acorn's been planted,
no, it doesn't do
nothing at all.
Anything about the movie.
Only you.
Well, maybe people ain't from up that way. They
And then
might
he
not.
kills everybody, and the ship just magically shows up where it's supposed to show up.
I've never even cared.
Maybe he got his captain's license. So like little Jason, he's sitting there with his hockey mask, his little captain's cap.
He got there in New York, and I didn't know when that was filmed in New York. I didn't know they were filming that at the time. A lot of people had gone there and had seen this. You know, Kane Hodder was there, and he was taking his mask off, and he was scaring people in New York City. That would have been cool to have seen having lived there.
He was scaring people when he took his mask off.
Yeah. He doesn't like to break characters. You know, he does that with the Victor Crowley movies too. Even with the other actors, he won't break characters. So I'm sure he had fun scaring the hell out of people in New York City. But that scene where Jason comes up and he kicks the kid's radio, and they pull the switchblades out on him, and he lifts his mask up, and that wouldn't happen. They would have took a bat to him in 2 seconds.
At least he didn't do a Crocodile Dundee and be like,
this is a knife.
So I know we're jumping on your parade, Blake, because you have strong feelings about this movie, and
No, I love 8. 8's great. I give it a 4.
A 4?
It's fun. I loved everything on the cruise ship. The smallest high school reunion ever. Thought that was great. I wouldn't have known the difference that they were in Canada. I grew up thinking that had to be what New York was like, with toxic sludge and containers and
Yeah.
like graffiti. Like I didn't know. So and then Times Square. Obviously that whole scene was awesome, in the subway. So it's a fun one.
I always felt that Jason got a bad rap in this one, because the last character I saw that had some toxic stuff dumped on him, I mean, he came out really gross, but he still got girls, and he had helped avenge things.
Who's your favorite toxic person?
Avenger?
Toxic Avenger.
You know who's better than that?
Who's that?
The guy from RoboCop.
Bro.
He gets the toxic sludge on him, and he comes out, and his whole, his face is melting off, and then they run him over with the car.
My only problem with 8, really, actual problem, was the ending. That I think
Turning back to a child.
Yeah, it made no sense. I mean, I guess if we're going with the whole supernatural Jason, sure, why not? But I don't know why. I don't. Were we supposed to feel bad for Jason, as the sludge is getting him, and you're like, oh, look at him, he's just a poor little boy, he's shivering. Yeah, I don't know. Friday 13th, Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell. Looking at you, Hackerman.
Say what?
This is you. Part 9, Jason Goes to Hell.
I hated it. It was, to me, that is the worst movie besides Freddy's Dead. That, I was like, I don't know. It just, I mean, I've only seen it I've maybe once. It was just so bad. I don't really remember. I remember the guy eating his heart or something, and
yeah,
that's it. I mean, I couldn't deal with that one. I mean, it was the last 3 seconds where Freddy's hand came out of the sand, pulled the mask down.
Yeah.
I mean, the shitty effects that he almost like, oh my God. They had a
I like-
budget of $500 to make that movie, and they had $300 left over when they were done.
I like how you compared it to Freddy's Nightmare, or I'm sorry, Freddy's Dead, because it really does kind of have that vibe where it just throws a lot at you.
Yeah, it was just.
Was it, I think if you pay attention to the back, the Necronomicon from Evil Dead was there.
Yeah, they had some kind of link they were trying to say.
Yeah,
that,
wasn't the knife that you could only kill Freddy with the blade from Evil Dead as well? Wow.
I'm no expert on that.
A horror podcast. You guys know a lot about horror. Yeah, hold on.
I know
Hold
that
on.
movie.
Y'all talk amongst yourselves.
I'm no expert on that. So we're gonna take a franchise that has a character that everyone loves and knows, and we're gonna make him not be in the movie, but his soul is gonna go into other people, and he'll be doing the murdering on. So you see normal people murdering other normal people. It goes against everything. But why you go to see the Friday the 13th movie in the first place? I get they were trying to do something different, but this is way out there.
So I'll have to admit, like, I've actually never seen Jason Goes to Hell. So I like listening to Frank, like, tell me what it's like. So it's how did they transfer the soul from one person to another?
The guy ate Jason's black heart, and then he had the soul into him, and then it would jump from body to body, and then like the captain from 21 Jump Street was some kind of guy who could. It was
Mr. X, not 21 Jump Street. Okay.
You have to watch the movie after this podcast, because I'd love to hear what you have to think about it if you've never seen it. Just sit and watch it.
It's ambitious. It tries to take. It tries to create some sort of logic as to how Jason can keep coming back. Honestly.
Yeah.
The heart eating thing. Now, when the first dude, I think it's the autopsy guy, when he starts chowing down in the heart, a couple of those are kind of freaky. And then you get the husband and wife who run the burger joint.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny and weird. But then they throw like a long lost relative in there. She's like the uncles, cousins, brothers, aunt, or some shit.
Yeah. And the guy John LeMay's in it. He's the guy from like the Friday 13th TV show. And I think Aaron Gray from Buck Rogers is in it.
Yeah.
They go to the Voorhees house because I guess you make a lot of money being a cook at a summer camp, so they have like the Voorhees mansion, and she has an altar that has like a Necronomicon, I believe, and it's got the little Cthulhu whatever dagger from Evil Dead. So they kind of, in a weird logic, you could say that Jason's a Deadite.
Yeah, and people have confirmed that. I've read stuff on that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of. I feel like there was a lot of fan fiction sensibilities that were put to this particular movie. But it's really kind of a mess. I'd watch it maybe once, just so you could say you did it.
Yeah, that's it. I've done that, and I'm good.
Yeah, it's not rewatchable in my opinion.
That Blu-ray is still in the shrink wrap.
Yeah,
it's just there as a placeholder, so I have them all. That's it.
Yeah, it's there's a reason why you don't see a lot of fan art for it, especially in the poster community. You don't see Jason Goes to Hell posters everywhere, or a franchise that has a lot of posters popping up for it. It's just not good at all.
Worst movie of the franchise? Yes, of course.
Yeah, I think so.
And that's saying a lot. And he's going to outer space after this. So if this is the worst movie, get ready.
Yeah, it's bad. But Sean Cunningham, he directed this one.
I think he was involved in this one. Yes.
Yeah, because I think this is like one of the first ones when he got the rights back.
Yeah. Thanks.
Which makes it even worse because you would like to think that the dude who originally worked on it got his rights back but like when we've seen a lot of franchises, when the original person gets the rights back years later, what they put out really is not a product close to what you really loved the first time. So Steve, how many Scullys?
Phantom Menace.
And you can go 0 Scullys if you want.
Half of one, and if it wasn't for Freddy's glove pulling the mask down, it would have been a big fat 0.
Half a Scully. Okay, Frank, you're going to close it up. Now, just so everybody knows, we're not talking about the TV series and we're not talking about the remake. Yes, because we're going to do a separate podcast. It's going to cover the remake because we got a bunch of remakes out there. So we're going to keep it simple.
So we got two more, right?
And we're not going to do Freddy versus Jason because in my mind, that should be its own independent one. Unless you guys want to do Freddy versus Jason.
That's his favorite. I think that's going to be his favorite, right?
Quiet,
I
not participating.
love that.
I think Mark's questioning his life choice for coming on this tonight. Now
For the last hour.
Jason X. Let's dig in.
Okay, well, we are going to do Freddy versus Jason, but we got to do Jason X first.
Okay.
Frank, hit it.
For a movie where they're going to send a serial killer to outer space, you think it would be terrible? And I actually really like it. The beginning scene was really cool where they trick Jason into thinking he's right at the beginning. He's they're having like a virtual reality where he thinks he's a naked girl and he's sitting there and everything's set up for him. And then the cops jump out, right? And they get him and then he's put into cryo freeze, right? Is that how that movie starts out? I believe. Right, so he's in cryo freeze, and everything else is some asshole who wants to take him out of the cryo freeze because they want to study him or whatever. And of course, he gets out, and he winds up killing everyone, and then he gets forgotten. And then it's X amount of years into the future, and they thaw him out, and there's a couple of really good deaths. The girl gets her face frozen and then shattered on a table.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
The Uber Jason was fucking cool looking with the new mask and the upgrade and all that stuff. And the one girl who's like the android robot, that's kind of pretty cool. She's like a good warrior and everything. And
well, she was a sex bot.
Yeah, and
so that movie foretold the future.
I think the acting in this movie was subpar, and the ending was horrific.
I think this one had one of my favorite lines in all the franchise. Was it the dude says, "Hey guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back."
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. He killed all y'all because I had his knife. I gave him back his knife. Now the world's okay.
Yeah.
What I thought was kind of funny, I thought Leprechaun in Space came out after Jason X. Turns
Yeah.
out Leprechaun in Space came out in 1996 and Jason X came out in 2001. I think it was one of the first movies shot on digital as well.
I mean, it was a good idea, I guess.
Yeah, and I for some reason I always thought that Leprechaun bit off of Jason as opposed to the way around.
You're the only person I know who've seen any of the Leprechauns past part 1.
Dude, the first Leprechaun up to Leprechaun in Space, they're pretty fun. Then when
Fun.
he goes to the hood and it gets kind of ridiculous, and then you have the remakes and yeah, they're pretty bad. But yeah, I thought Jason X.
It's watchable. I'll watch it when it's on.
Yeah, for me it would be a 3. It's fun. It's stupid. It's got some innovative kills.
But that ending where he's out in space and he's rocketing and then he grabs the girl and then it lands back in Crystal Lake again.
Yeah. And they never did anything for it.
Where can you go from there, really? I mean,
this Uber Jason bebopping around Crystal Lake.
Well, there was a big time jump from the end of 9 to Jason X, so they could have went back and did stories before X. I mean, they don't have to continue.
They have what, like 400 years worth of time that they can use?
They could get rid of the Uber Jason, be done with it, and go back and do something else instead of doing reboots and everything else they want to do.
I think Uber Jason was really good for just a one-off film. I think you
Yeah,
get
that's
tired
it.
of Iron Man Jason. I mean, he's pretty indestructible at this point with his little nanobot technology.
I liked it.
So you guys have been kind of quiet down there at the bottom part of the screen.
I'm at the top of the screen on mine. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm on the top of mine.
Oh, odd.
I've never seen this one either, so obviously, I don't have anything to add, so that's why I'm even more quiet than normal.
You got some homework.
I'll give it a 4 because I actually got a kick out of it. It was different. I like that one. That was. I'll give it that 4 Shelleys.
4 what?
Scullies. What did I say? Shelley?
I thought you said 4 jellies.
Yeah, Charlie, I'm like a new grading system.
Yeah, that was different. I like that Uber. Yeah, I give it a 4.
Cool. How many Scullies did you give it, Frank?
I'll give it. No, I would have gave it a 3, but I gave part 1 a 3, so I'd have to give it a 2.5. It's not better than the original.
Okay, so since we're doing a little bit of a audible, we're doing F versus Freddy. Who wants to do F versus Freddy?
Oh, nice. Look at that mask.
Sick.
Since Frank's got the mask, you take lead on this one. Jason versus Freddy.
Well, I guess for all horror fans, isn't this what everyone was waiting for? I mean, for years, we want to see these two guys do battle. I had no idea how they could do it. I mean, get those two worlds together. I thought it was brilliant how they Freddy used Jason to come back and stir up stuff on Elm Street so people start thinking of that. Whole story was great.
Yeah.
What I didn't like is the way they gave some of the characters so much information. Like, oh yeah, well this must be that, and he just knew things that some of those characters, the two kids from that escaped from the mental asylum, they knew things like, oh, Jason, the pills must be doing that. They had way too much figured out about the plot and how to solve this. And if we grab Jason while we're doing this, then we could bring him in. I didn't like that part. The fights between Freddy and Jason were excellent.
Yeah. The
ending was great. I mean, and the director was excellent. There's nothing bad to say about this movie. This is what everyone has been waiting for all these years.
Yeah, I think it was kind of the equivalent of taking a Transformers together, or a G.I. Joe in this hand, or a GoBot in this hand, Transformer in this hand.
What's not to like?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I mean, Frank, I think you hit in the head that they had to get exposition from two different franchises kind of pushed together for people who didn't know enough about the history of each franchise to understand the threads. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that's where you had a lot of your, let's just throw stuff out there. A lot of spaghetti against the wall is seeing what stuck. Disposable actors. I mean, I don't think anybody really acted bad. Nobody really acted great. I would say it's CW quality acting. Young little
And
cutesies.
John Ritter's son.
Yeah, John Ritter's was Kelly,
And
what you call it, from Destiny's Child was in it.
Kelly Rowland, and then
Yeah.
all the girls were gorgeous. Catherine Isabel and Monica Keena, I believe her name was.
Yeah.
All really pretty girls. I thought they were good actors, and
I don't think they really needed to change Jason's. They could have left Hodder in there, but I mean, it is what it is.
everyone likes Kane. They think he's the best Jason, but honestly, he's done the worst Friday the 13th films.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not his fault.
No, but what he's done is he brought style to the character with the movement, and you wouldn't notice this unless you analyze it. And Kane Hodder has said it many times that he would turn his body and then Jason's head would follow it, and the breathing thing that he always does with his shoulders. I mean, they were cool things that that are easily recognizable, and he had some really cool kills. But he was really in the worst films, and so he's not my favorite Jason at all. So losing him didn't mean anything to me. I like the bigger Jason. So Ken Kersinger, he's a massive guy. I mean, I liked it.
His outfit is awesome too.
Yeah.
I mean, sludgy looking jacket.
Yep.
Well, they had a really good kill count. I'm a big fan of. I think it had one of the bigger kill counts of the Friday the 13th, especially that party scene where he's just
fucking everybody up.
Yeah, he's just slashing everybody. And I really liked the ending because it had one of those endings where who actually won. A little wink at the end. You're kind of like,
Jason.
okay,
Jason won.
Yeah, but then Freddy was winking at the end. So who won? I mean, if the in-state goal of Freddy was to get people to be scared again so that way he could regain his power, right?
Yeah, I thought they would have followed up with another movie after that, especially when he winked like he's still alive.
I'm pretty sure they tried, and then just all that whole right stuff popped up, and then they started having the weird, let's throw in Michael Myers or Cenobites or I think Ash.
Yeah. There's a comic book for that too. So
yeah, which Tommy comes back in the comic book, and Tommy and Ash get together and help save the day. But I don't think we really need another one, honestly. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you want to see Freddy versus Jason again, or is it something just needs to happen once?
I don't want another reboot or a remake. I'll just take a brand new film, stick it after Part 9, before X, and just give me something in that timeline with all new characters.
Do you want to see those two characters go at it again?
I don't know. What more can you do, really? I mean, it's been done. If they add a third character, I'd be interested in seeing it, but I wouldn't want to see Freddy and Jason again. I mean,
yeah, I always liked the idea of Ash because I thought if the world worked out well, Ash could kind of be a modern day Van Helsing. So if you look at these characters like the Universal monsters, Ash could be the one that goes after. Maybe Tommy does come back, and then he's the one who goes after Jason and Freddy, Chucky, all these things that have these elements that they've kind of thrown nods to each other within their franchises. So in theory, they kind of exist in the same universe.
Chucky versus Leprechaun.
Chucky versus Leprechaun.
I mean, in Freddy versus Jason, though, you have two bad guys that you're rooting for. So to throw Ash in there, he would be actually a good guy that would be fighting. I mean, these two guys are bad guys just fighting over basically turf and teenagers to kill. Where if you threw a good guy in there that has done battle against evil before, I think that's pretty damn interesting. I would go see that. Yeah,
especially Ash, because I don't think he would come into it like purposefully wanting to defeat them, but more kind of stumbling upon a situation and having to deal with that situation.
Yeah, see, Michael Myers just doesn't work. He's human, that, and so how is he going to battle two supernatural guys? It doesn't make sense.
Or the Cenobite thing never seemed like it made sense for Pinhead to somehow meld into.
Yeah, because Pinhead is not killing teenagers. It's totally different. He's.
You just see Pinhead at a rave.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of did see Pinhead at a rave. It was Hellraiser 3, and you had the Cenobite who fucking threw CDs. Disco DJ Cenobite. See, that's a Mattel toy they should come out with. They should have the little Cenobite, and you like the G.I. Joe toy, you push a little button on his head, he shoots little CDs at people. Mark, you are quiet again, my friend. This has not been the Mark Bone podcast experience.
I'm good,
Doing
man.
so much homework. He has to go watch movies now after this.
I have like 2 movies I have to go watch. I mean, I love Freddy versus Jason. I wouldn't want to see. I don't need to see it again. I thought it was about as perfect as it could get, and yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully someday we can see new material from both those franchises. Actually,
I think something was going on recently with Nightmare on Elm Street. I just can't remember what it was. Somebody was going to reboot that. And then I think they kind of got stuck in the whole rights thing because the Craven family got the rights back to the franchise.
That's the worst remake ever. The Elm Street remake was terrible.
It was after that. That's why we're going to talk about Friday the 13th remake, the Elm Street remake, and then Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. And
so does everyone here think that Friday the 13th is the best horror franchise of them all?
Ooh.
I think so. Like for me, like if I'm actually not a fan of Halloween. I know that is going to be.
Let me find your mute. Let me find your mute button.
I mean, it's.
And he's muted.
He muted him.
No, the first 2 Halloweens were excellent.
Yeah.
Everything after that, you could throw in the garbage.
Yep.
Nightmare on Elm Street, the first 3 were excellent. 4 was okay, and then 5 on is just, it's downhill.
Yeah.
To me, the Friday the 13th franchise, even though it had 1 or 2 really bad movies, everything else is to me, it's a decent movie. It's better than 2-3 stars and above. So I mean,
Yep.
I don't know what franchise has done more or done better than that.
Certainly not Leprechaun.
No.
Man, I don't know. I agree with you to a certain extent on Nightmare on Elm Street. The first one's good. It's when you rewatch it, it is a little bit of a slow burn. Not a lot, but it's got a little kind of some boring parts in it. You kind of have to, in my mind, it's not a just pop on fun watch. You kind of got to to sit down and watch it. Second one, I've found a lot more interesting as an adult when you learn some of the stories behind it and like all the different themes.
It's the gay Elm Street.
Yeah, all the themes and stuff. You know, that was actually the first horror movie I remember watching. My mom rented it for me. So thanks, Mom, for renting me the Gay Nightmare on Elm Street. But I really like the Dream trilogy. I think those are kind of fun, which is what 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah.
The ones after that, I'm kind of with you. I'm like, Halloween.
I like that New Nightmare though. I ain't gonna lie. I like that one, New Nightmare.
It's not bad, but I mean, it's.
Is that the one where Wes Craven's remaking the movie?
Yeah, that was different. I
call it the Scream New Nightmare. It's the one that, when horror movies became more self-aware.
Yeah.
But this was made around the time when Wes Craven was doing Scream and Cursed, which was a big pile of poo. But Halloween, I like Halloween. I mean, the first 2 were a little slower, but I think they kind of go at a pretty good pace. I put them on par with Friday the 13th 1 and 2 as far as their tone and their pace.
I like 2 better than 1.
I like Halloween 3, for what it was. The original concept is Halloween was supposed to be an anthology. So every year a new Halloween was going to come out with a different Halloween story. Didn't work out well, but I like the idea of the little kids with the kind of had a Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, it was different.
Tales from the Crypt kind of vibe. 4, 5, and 6.
Sucked.
I liked 6 for its fucking stupidity. The little kid, Mommy, it's raining blood. I thought that was kind of funny.
H2O Resurrection.
That's where I'm kind of having a hard time is once you get to H2O and the Busta Rhymes Karate Special Edition.
The new one, the Rob Zombie ones were okay.
I fell asleep in the theater. Rob Zombie one. I loathe that movie with a passion.
Shouldn't been touched.
I think I'd have to agree that Friday the 13th is of the horror franchises out there. maybe Hatchet, because all 4 of the Hatchet movies are kind of fun, stupid watches. To me, the 4 Hatchet movies are like the middle, Friday the 13th, 3, 4, 5, 6, where kind of this absurd. That is, Hatchet starts out that absurd. So I just have a hard time balancing Hatchet with Friday the 13th, but they're really kind of the same movie.
Right.
So, I mean, if you want to talk big classic franchises, I 100% agree with you that Friday the 13th is probably the funnest of the bunch, where you could, with the exception of Jason Goes to Hell, you could watch all of them and have a decent time.
Yeah, they're great.
What you doing, Steve? See you looking at your phone. You swiping?
Yeah, just seeing what's going on. We're about to wrap this up. This was a good one.
Trying to find yourself a little date?
Tinder.
Yeah.
What?
You're trying to find yourself a little date? You gonna have a little mask late night hookup?
Oh.
Huh? What you doing?
Hey, I saw you on the wrestling podcast. I'm interested.
Yeah, the wrestling ones, that rolls right off my tongue, that stuff.
That was off your tongue? You liked it? You like things on your tongue? Huh?
Yeah, it was good.
Cool. Well, Frank, thanks for coming on this with us.
Anytime.
I'm a little tight of the tongue, but I appreciate you coming on. It was good to have our resident expert, even though you didn't really give us any expertise. So
Yeah,
I gave you plenty of detail.
Might have to get some of our money back.
I gave you props. I gave you facts.
We did. We got props. We got facts. We didn't get tattoos. We got Mark Bone on here, minus his mask. That's always fun. And we got Steve Hackerman. So I guess for Marcus Bone and Steve Hackerman, next week, what franchise do you want to tackle? Because we are still stuck in COVID land where there's nothing new coming out of the news.
Nightmare.
I don't know. I'm wondering if we should maybe choose a smaller franchise, nothing that has like 90 movies we have to watch again.
Creep Show. Say what?
Creep Show.
No.
Do Creep Show. I'll be on that.
Want to do Creep Show?
Yeah.
We'll get Frank back.
Creep Show on Friday the 13th are the only 2 things.
Now, if we do Creep Show, we have to watch that really weird unofficial Creep Show 3.
The third one? Yeah.
I've seen it. I have it.
Okay. Cool. So
and
next
the
week, guys,
TV show too.
Yeah,
we won't do the TV show.
Did you see the TV show, everyone?
Yep.
Because it's they're taking the first season and they're putting it on AMC starting on Monday at 10 o'clock, I believe. They're replaying all the.
Shudder too.
Yeah, but you got to pay for that on AMC. Starting on Monday, you can watch it.
Cool.
So next week we will do Creep Show 1, 2, and 3. That's it. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe. If we get to, I don't know, we'll say 50 subscribers, I'll give you all Steve Ackerman's home phone number so you can call him and say hi in the morning. See you guys next week. Thanks, and we are out.
You got
Later.
it.